And let's go ahead and get started here today. Thank you for joining me. My name is Lance Wills, and welcome to New Year, New Job, New You. Today we're going to talk about 3 of the top resume writing mistakes and how you can fix them, as well as a lot of other great information that's going to help you with your job search as you move into 2018. So very excited to get started here. And let's go ahead and jump right in. First of all, let's maximize your time investment. I really appreciate and respect that you have decided to share some of your time here and join me for this webinar. And as such, I want you to maximize your time investment. And that means putting your full focus into this presentation. I will move very quickly as I like to be brisk. So I highly recommend you close out of social media, put your phone away, and remove any other distractions. I know it can be challenging. We have a lot of things going on, but I promise this will be valuable. And again, I move very briskly, and you may miss something if you don't catch it the first time. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So again, my name is Lance Wills. I help people across several avenues. So essentially, it's a 3-pronged approach. First and foremost, I help people with their career. I am a career coach and provide consultation and help people to get the most out of their career as well as move up. I also help people generate passive income. So there's several ways to do that, and I work with individuals to help them determine the best stream to develop passive income. We are all experts in our life, and there's a way to leverage that knowledge to generate passive income. And eventually, I help people get out of the rat race altogether by investing in real estate as well as growing their passive income stream. So that's essentially who I am. And the reason I became an expert in career searches, especially leveraging search engine optimization techniques, is because I actually lost my job and was forced to do that. Moved to San Francisco during the recession. It was quite a challenging time, and knew I had to work smarter to take advantage of those few and rare opportunities. Use the same skills that I used for my small business clients. I consult on small business and help them build out their websites and their online digital marketing. Started to use those same search engine optimization techniques in my job search, in my resume, as well as in my LinkedIn profile, and started to see some incredible results, and have decided to share some of that with you and help you all with your job search as well. So what I like to do is set our foundational belief, our starting point, and that is if you can get the interview, you can get the job. Obviously, every job offer goes through the interview process, and so this is part and parcel fundamental to the process. So if you can get the interview, you can get the job. And if you believe that, then it will help you go a long way, because in fact, it is a reality. Very few times, unless you're related to someone, will you get a job without going through the interview process. So if you can get the interview, you can get the job. And the strategy we're going to follow is getting a 5-fold increase in the number of interviews without having to do a lot more work from what you're already doing. Obviously, if you're not submitting, you'll have to do some submissions, but we really don't want you to have to increase the level of work 5-fold to get those 5-fold increase in your results. It's really more about working smarter, and you're going to see that here today. So the top 3 resume writing mistakes, I just want to get straight to the point, are bad resume structure, not being data-driven, and then errors in the resume. And so we're going to cover all 3 of these, and I'll check in and make sure that, in fact, I have delivered upon my promise to provide all of this information and solve all these with some solutions on how to fix these issues. So the way we're going to fix them is we're going to talk about the 3 most critical resume elements. We're also going to talk about keywords and provide a tool for you to eliminate those resume errors, which is the #1 reason why recruiters reject applicants. And then we're also going to talk a little bit more about why you may not need to share your historic salary information due to some changes that are sweeping across the country. So that's sort of a bonus, but it really is helpful and good information that you need to know about. So let's go ahead and jump in. First and foremost, when you're submitting an application, whether it's online or through LinkedIn or through a company's site, you have to do 2 things. One, you have to satisfy the bots, okay? Because every application uses something called an application tracking system that filters resumes to make sure that the humans only have to review the cream of the crop, the top resumes. And so they leverage some technology to scour those. They score all of the applications based upon the information, the best fit for the job. And the way they do that is primarily through keywords. So we're going to talk about that. And secondly, not only do you have to satisfy the bots or technology, but you also have to satisfy the human element, which is recruiters. And to do that, you need to have a well-structured resume, because each recruiter spends only about 6 seconds with each resume before moving on and making a decision to pass or to advance that candidate. So we have to make sure we have our resume well-structured to take advantage of that limited window of opportunity. And also errors. The bots may not care too much about typos, but recruiters sure do. And if you have a lot of errors, you're going to get rejected. It just doesn't look very good. If you're a candidate and you submit a resume that has a lot of errors, what does it say about the level of work that you'll do once you're in that position? So we need to eliminate all of those errors. And before we get too deep, I wanted to talk a little bit about a different way to think about the job search. And the way I do that is, as a marketer, is to think of it as a funnel. And so I call it the job search funnel. And essentially you'll see there's two different funnels here. One is traditional resume, where you're submitting it, let's say, an online application through a company job site. And the second way is through LinkedIn, where you essentially park your resume. Granted, it's not a one and done, but you put in a great resume in your LinkedIn profile, and then recruiters do searches and find it, and you advance that way. So I'll talk through both of these. First, the resume on the left, the traditional method, where you'll submit it through, let's say, an online application through a company site. They'll have an ATS, or application tracking system, which will score your resume based upon a match, again, using those keywords. If you score high enough, you'll then be passed to a recruiter for that human touch. They'll review your resume, and perhaps you'll earn a screening call. If you get through that gateway, you may receive a hiring manager call. Eventually, you may go for an on-site interview, where you may meet with 3 to 5 or maybe even more people over the span of 3 hours, let's say. And eventually you get an offer, and then hopefully accept that offer after some negotiation. Now in LinkedIn, it's a similar funnel. It's a little bit different because you can put your profile up there, and it's actually driving leads or recruiters to reach out to you without any effort on your part, beyond putting your profile and improving it continually over time. So the first top of funnel is your appearance in SERPs, or search engine results pages. So again, we want to think about LinkedIn as a search engine, because that's really what it is at its core, not necessarily a job site per se, although it is, but really you need to think about it as a search engine. So your resume is out there, recruiters are searching for the perfect fit for a requisition or a job that they're trying to fill. They come across your profile, and you get that profile view. Hopefully you entice them to click into your profile and then get that recruiter screening call. Hopefully you pass that stage and move into a hiring manager call, and again, further down the funnel, an on-site visit, an offer, and hopefully an offer acceptance. So I just wanted to be clear about how I think about the job search process, and that's through the job search funnel, and you should as well. Let's talk about secret number 1, which is the 3 most critical resume elements. And what recruiters really want to see are these 3 items: professional summary, success statements, and then your resume telling a cohesive story of your career arc. And we'll go into detail on each one of these, but first we'll start with that professional summary. So professional summary should contain 3 elements. Again, this is on your resume. You could also integrate this into LinkedIn, which is recommended, but it needs to include your title or role, your years of experience, and then your skills, specialties, training, tools, certifications, etc. And this is an opportunity to put a lot of those great keywords in there that those ATS bots will use to score your resume or your application highly. So the professional summary is located at the top of your resume. And for signing up for this webinar, you were included in the Resume Refresh Challenge, where you were given access to the free resource library where you could download that great resume template. And that is a template that's been honed over the years to really address everything that recruiters are looking for in the right structure and format. So highly recommend you download that and use that as a starting point. And again, professional summary is located right there at the top. And I have two components. First is that single sentence high level overview. And then just below that, I have a few bullets, which is more of an aspirational summary. Again, similar to success bullets, which we'll talk about later, success statements, but it's really more what I intend to do in that role. Again, another opportunity to put in some more high-level keywords higher up in your resume or LinkedIn profile if you integrate it there as well. But for now, we're going to be talking about that single sentence at the top of the page. And here's an example of a professional summary. Director of Marketing and MBA with 7 years of experience in brand lead generation, event planning, P&L, and managing teams of 10 or more people. You'll see here we start with the title. So it should be not necessarily the title you came from, but the title that you're interested in getting in your next position. And then your education, if you have an additional or advanced degrees, such as an MBA, as well as your years of experience. And then we put all of the various verticals, specialties, discipline, technologies, or responsibilities that we had. Again, another opportunity to put in some great keywords. You should limit this to one sentence or 2 lines on your resume and put the most important items in there. So you don't really want to keyword stuff it or be over the top with comma, 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 and just tons and tons of entries. Maybe 5 to 7 entries as far as your specialties, tools, technologies, etc. And as I mentioned, we use that second section as aspirational, which includes some bullets of what you intend to do in your next role. So really shows your vision, you're chomping at the bit, you're excited, and what you really want to do. Again, you can take a look at this example in the free resources library by downloading that professional resume template, which you should have received an email about as part of the Resume Refresh Challenge. Now let's talk about the next item, which are those success statements. And this is actually indicated in my Expert Recruiter Roundup as the #1 suggestion by recruiters. So I spoke with about a dozen recruiters, expert recruiters from around the country, a lot of top recruiters here in Silicon Valley, and asked them to chime in on what they felt was the most important, and success statements and being data-driven was at the top of the list. And what this means is you really want to state your impact to the business. So you don't want to put in general responsibilities in your bullets for each job you held. You want to use data-driven items. You want to be quantitative, so using numbers, dollars, dates, milestones, and you really want to highlight those savings, growth, initiatives, or programs that you started. So really important to highlight your impact to the business. Again, not using generic phrases, but very specific to what you have accomplished. And here we see an example from that professional resume template where we have our success statements for each position that you held. And that could be anywhere from 3 to 5 bullets for each position that you've held. And again, if you're stretching, then just omit it. You can go down to as few as 2 bullets, or maybe even 1 if it's really impactful or if it's an older position. But for your most recent roles, you really want to show your impact to the business in 3 to 5 bullets or success statements. So here's a few examples for you. Drove 120% increase in new user signups. So there we're showing a hard metric, quantitative, how we impacted the business. 6 quarters of exceeding 1.2 million sales quota. So if you were part of the President's Club, numerous quarters, it'd be great to highlight that here. Decreased nonprofit benefactor onboarding time by 3 days. So here we decreased the time for onboarding. As you know, time is money, so that's significant. And then here's one launched company from seed to 2,000 plus customers, achieved consistent 30% month-over-month growth, and built a data-driven story for investors, resulting in a $5 million Series A funding. So this is a little bit on the longer side, but it's a great, very beefy success statement with a lot of quantifiable metrics or achievements. So it's a great example. If you can follow that, highly recommend you do something like that. And now let's talk about the story. So your resume should tell a cohesive story or career arc, starting with your past positions and telling a logical story about why your target role, the job you're applying for, is the next logical step in your career. And this could take a little bit of time, but again, you really want to craft that story. And this is also very important during the screening process of speaking to recruiters during that initial screening call. So I'll give you an example of how I've translated my background into a cohesive story arc. So I actually have a technical background as a mechanical engineer, and yet I was able to get myself into a marketing position. I'll talk a little bit about that later, but essentially what I say is, I've always been passionate about marketing. I have a technical background, but in every role, I curved my career arc towards marketing. I really wanted to build a background built for a startup, so essentially a Swiss Army knife of skills that involve various disciplines, company sizes, as well as industries. So I started in traditional press and publicity. I worked in sales, BD. I also wanted to strengthen my background in reporting, so I worked in analytics. And then I wanted to strengthen my skills in organic search because everybody likes free traffic. So I worked for an SEO company, enterprise-grade SEO platform. And leveraging those skills was actually seeked out and discovered by a fintech SaaS startup. And that brings me to my current role. So as you can see, I create this story of my background and really lends itself well to justifying why I went from a mechanical engineer to head of marketing, and why, let's say, CMO, head of growth, director of marketing, if it's a bigger company, are the next logical steps in my career. So, question for you: will properly structuring your resume, being data-driven, and telling a story improve your chances of getting more interviews? Well, the obvious answer is yes, absolutely. And as you recall, we started out talking about our foundational belief, which is if you can get the interview, you can get the job, because all job offers go through the interview process. And that's really what we're talking about today. So for secret number 2, we want to use the right keywords and avoid errors. And here's what those pesky bots need to see. A little bit intimidating with the Terminator there, but that's essentially what it's like. And we'll talk a little bit about those ATS or application tracking systems, as well as keywords and eliminating errors. So what an ATS is, it's an application tracking system, is a software application that enables the electronic handling of recruitment needs. In many cases, they filter applications automatically based on given criteria such as keywords, skills, former employers, years of experience, and schools attended. And this definition was taken from Wikipedia. But I really just want you to be aware of what's going on in the background every time you submit an application, whether it's online through a company site or even Easy Apply on LinkedIn. And here we have this visual of what an application tracking system is, and it talks you through the process of submitting your resume. Your resume is run through a parser, so essentially stripped down and analyzed. We see that in step 3. And then 4, employers use keywords to search for candidates, and your resume or you as an applicant are graded or scored based upon relevancy. And there you see if you have high score, you can be selected for the next phase or to advance in the application review or interview process. And this was sourced from resonate.com. So it shines a little bit different light. If you have ever submitted a lot of applications and never heard back, this is probably the reason why you're scoring very low, and you need to improve the relevancy of your resume for the applications or the positions that you're submitting for. And we're going to help you do that here today. I also wanted to talk about some statistics, just so you're aware of how common ATSs are. 75% of multinational companies use an ATS to track and filter CVs. That's another word for resume, curriculum vitae, before a recruiter begins to analyze them. And then 60% of medium-sized companies use an ATS. And really what it comes down to is using technology to simplify the process that they have to go through to weed out poor quality candidates. Obviously, in every business function, we're increasingly using technology, especially digital technology, to compound the efforts, the human efforts, and in the HR world, it's no different. So just be aware that that's going on, and you need to address that in your approach to searching for a job. And what bots need to see to score highly, and again, it's all about those keywords. So what you need to do is integrate keywords in your resume and your LinkedIn profile. And you really want to have that parity or that match between what the position is looking for and your resume or your background. And so the way to farm those or to get more keywords is to look at job descriptions. So what I suggest doing is gathering no less than 10 job descriptions that you're interested in, and then copying and pasting those and putting them in a tool like Wordle.net, which is a word cloud tool. And very quickly you can see the themes of what is the most recurring keyword, so you'll know what is the most important. Again, and this is, we take a two-pronged approach here. We use the qualitative as well as quantitative. So quantitative using a word cloud, and then qualitative is, again, manually reviewing those 10 job descriptions or more, preferably more, and picking and choosing some themes that pop out. Again, you'll want to look for relevancy and frequency. So relevancy meaning putting those higher up in your resume or LinkedIn profile. And then frequency is obviously how common those words are used in job descriptions. If it's used a lot, you can see here in a word cloud, then the word will be larger. So digital marketing, this is again for marketing, director of marketing roles. You'll see digital channels marketing, improve customer are all very important. And then again, you want to manually review those job descriptions for synonyms, which maybe won't appear, but those could be some great keywords that recruiters are actually looking for. So again, a qualitative as well as a quantitative approach to keywords. And then lastly, of course, you want to eliminate errors. And this is primarily for those recruiters. And I've started using a tool that I really love and I really advocate everybody use. It's totally free to get started. But first I want to talk about just the fundamentals, and that's of course running a spell check. We all know that. You need to do that. You also need to view your resume in different formats, so perhaps in Word or PDF or print it out on a piece of paper. It's amazing how when you see it in different formats, you can catch errors that you've glossed over and missed several times before. And also get a peer to review. Very, very powerful to get someone else to look at your resume and catch some things perhaps that you didn't. Again, I am recommending Grammarly, while the spell check in Microsoft Word or even in Google Docs is adequate. It's not going to catch things like from or form if you have that mistake. And Grammarly is totally free for the basic plan. It also has a browser plugin for Chrome, so it will review everything you do online. I'm not sure this works yet in Google Docs, but it should be coming soon. But it's got its own standalone app as well that you can just copy and paste your resume in, and it provides some great feedback. It also has a plugin for Microsoft Office or Word on PC, not yet available for Mac, but it's a great tool. Again, it has the standalone application on Mac and that great plugin on PC in Word, and it's totally free to get started. So another check-in here. Will using better or more keywords and eliminating errors improve your chances of getting more interviews? And of course, the answer is absolutely. And as we discussed, if you can get the interview, you can get the job. So increasing the number of interviews you get will eventually lead to you getting your job sooner. And secret number 3, again, this is essentially a bonus item. This is relatively new, but it's very important. I wanted to include it here today. And this is why you may not need to share your salary information with your future employer or a recruiter during those screening calls. And first we're going to talk about what exactly I'm talking about. So currently employers ask what you were making at your previous company. And the reason they do that, it really helps them gauge your experience and also guides their salary conversation and essentially at the end of the day helps them to minimize the offer they make to you. So they obviously don't want to pay more than they need to, and by providing this information, it can sometimes work against you. And so it's really better, in your best interest, if you can avoid having that conversation altogether. And let's talk a little bit about why we're even talking about this. And the legislative commentary proclaims that gender wage discrimination is destructive not only for female workers, but for our entire economy. And closing the wage gap starts with barring employers from asking questions about salary history so that previous salary discrimination is not perpetuated. In other words, essentially tying an employee to what they were making previously is really tethering itself back to this gender pay inequality. And that's really at the core of this. It's really about getting gender equality, pay equality across the spectrum. And that's why people have decided in various governments to eliminate the ability for employers to ask what you were making in your previous role. Essentially resets the game board where employers are encouraged to pay a female what they potentially would offer a male. Essentially, that's what they're trying to accomplish with this. And so let's talk a little bit about where this is actually taking place. So come January 1st, 2018, California will join the ever-growing list of states such as Delaware, Massachusetts, New York, Puerto Rico, and Oregon, and municipalities, New York City, Philadelphia, and San Francisco, that restrict or ban employers from asking about a job applicant's salary history. So essentially, this is where it's starting, which usually is what happens at these larger, more progressive cities, but eventually it will most likely spread to other states, cities, municipalities as well. So if you're in one of these areas, you want to be aware of this, and if they do try to ask about it, you can very kindly reference that they're actually not supposed to be asking about that due to recent law passages. So could be a little bit of a touchy conversation, but if you think about it in advance, you can provide a very easy way to answer that without creating any friction or ill will towards your candidacy. And now, as a bonus, it's really important to know what you're worth. Again, sort of the other side of that salary conversation. And the reason it's important is, one, you really want to make sure a job you're applying for is paying what you need to earn. So to meet those salary expectations. If a company's offering way less than you're looking for, obviously you don't want to waste your time or their time going deep in the interview process, unless you, of course, want practice, which is always good as well. Secondly, you don't want to ask for too much and then self-opt out. So letting a recruiter know that you want, let's say, a higher salary than what they're willing to offer maybe will tarnish your candidacy, and they'll say, oh, well, he'll be unhappy if we pay him less, so we'll actually just move on from him. So it can really shoot you in the foot. So you'll want to make sure you know what the company's offering before you mention what your salary expectations are, or adjust it during the conversation to match it or get close to it. And then again, you really want to make sure you use this information to maximize your offer, to make the most that you can. And there's some great resources out there for you to see what salaries or companies are paying. Glassdoor, LinkedIn is increasingly adding salary information. Salary.com, comparably, is a newer source. And then Angel.com, which is more of a startup-focused website. But again, if you want to see what salary they're paying at some startups in your area, Angel.com, or AngelList.com is a great site for doing that. And again, if you can get the interview, you can get the job. That's our foundational belief. So let's do a little recap of what we've covered so far. The top 3 resume writing mistakes are: 1, bad resume structure. So we only have about 6 seconds once a recruiter sees our resume, so we got to make the most use of it. And the best way to do that is to have that professional summary listed at the top, leveraging keywords. You also want to be data-driven, so use those success statements in the bullets for each position you've held. And then lastly, eliminate all of those errors. So, did we discuss how to fix them? I believe we did. We talked about structure, again, leveraging the professional summary at the top of the resume, as well as building that career arc story that weaves through all of your previous positions and really makes your target position the next logical role in your career arc. We're also focused on being data-driven through the success statements, which was listed as the number one suggestion by the top recruiters in my expert recruiter roundup, and then eliminating those errors. And I've provided an extra tool for you to do that completely free that you can get at Grammarly.com. And so now you actually have all the information you need to greatly improve your resume. So if you're a DIY or do-it-yourselfer, you really have everything you need at this point to greatly improve your resume, increase the number of interviews that you get, and get your dream job faster. However, like anything, we can't cover everything within 1 hour, and it really is just the tip of the iceberg. So as I mentioned, when I was laid off of my position and started to put to work SEO in my resume as well as my LinkedIn profile, I started to learn a lot about what works and what doesn't work. And having a technical background, I really brought this approach to really learn about different things you can do. And it's really helped ignite my job search anytime that I do start a job search. Again, how could a mechanical engineer get a position in Silicon Valley as head of marketing at a fintech or financial technology SaaS, software as a service company, with little to no relevant experience? And again, it's leveraging everything we talked about, but to the nth degree, right? Really using, building that career arc story and taking a methodological approach, as well as using the data. And so what I've done is I've taken all of this information and I've actually put it into a course. So if you want to take your job search to the next level, you recognize that there's so much more you could be doing, then this could be a good option for you. And while you could technically go out there and Google everything and try to piece together all of this information, really is time consuming, and you're just not going to get the breadth of expertise as well as the depth in search engine optimization for your job search that I provide. And this has worked for me time and time again, and it's actually worked for students as well, students of mine. So it's not just specific to me, it can work for you too. And here you see the progress, again, being very data-driven, showing how students were able to drastically increase their 90-day profile views on LinkedIn. So this is the KPI or metric that we use to measure the success of the changes that they make. So let's say they start with a lackluster resume and basic LinkedIn profile, and then over the span of, you'll see here, SB in just 5 weeks was able to achieve a 124% increase in their LinkedIn 90-day profile views. And that's outstanding. Look, 153 up to 342. And of course, this increases the times that they're contacted by recruiters and provides them that opportunity for an interview. And as we discussed, if you can get the interview, you can get the job. We also see here Jessica went from 150 to 206 in just 3 weeks. So really quick. And of course, a nice steady 88% increase by Raz from 101 to 190. And then for beginners, this also works. You'll see here Chris W., while they were just getting started on LinkedIn and had only 21 90-day profile views, they were able to double that in just a few weeks. So obviously this has worked for me, and it can work for you as well as it's worked for some of my students. And here's what they're actually saying. So again, we just looked at the quantitative, and now here's the qualitative. Here's some testimonials: an impressively practical, action-oriented, and rich course. I have a highly rated LinkedIn profile already, but learned all sorts of new ways of making it better. This is the best course I've reviewed, and I thought I knew a lot about LinkedIn. Wow, that's great. Thank you, DK. The LinkedIn strategy is outstanding with his understanding of SEO and profile optimization. Thank you, KF. And Fabinu was able to leverage this to actually get a new job, get his dream job, as he says. So that's really what it's all about. And as you can see from actual students, they're able to achieve this. So what I'm talking about is a complete data-driven job search system, which includes over 62 lectures, 2 hours of videos, step-by-step instructions, and bite-sized action items. So very simple to follow, and action items at the end of each lesson that you can complete in just a few minutes, which will help you make progress in your job search and getting that dream job. I also include some bonus items on occasion, which are some additional tools and resources that'll help you get there faster. And I also have a Facebook group where you can get your questions answered as well. And here's just a sample of what the course covers. So first and foremost, it is about working smarter, not harder. So we leverage SEO skills that will benefit you forever. So not just in your job search, but in everything you do in this increasingly digital world. If you're on Facebook, if you're marketing on Facebook, or in your position, everybody needs to learn about digital marketing, how to work smarter on the internet, and these SEO skills will help you do that. It'll also teach you where to research even more keywords so that you'll be able to integrate those in your resume and LinkedIn profile and appear in even more searches. So it's expanding your footprint. And then it also teaches you where to place those keywords so you appear higher in those searches, or you score higher by those ATS bots. And we also talk about some interesting things that will help you separate yourself from the masses, provide a little more personality. So the 3 unforgettable elements in your tagline that guarantees recruiters click into your profile every time. And I've even received specific compliments from recruiters for some of the taglines I've employed. Obviously, I change them frequently to see what the impact is to my profile views. And there's a great thing you can do to ensure that a recruiter will click into your profile every time. And of course, at the end of the day, we really want your job to pursue you, so to have your resume or your LinkedIn profile working for you while you're doing other things. So it is, again, about working smarter and not harder. And here's just a little summary of some of the section headers. So section number 3 of lectures, the hat trick of job search SEO, keywords that recruiters love. As I mentioned, 3 elements of an unforgettable tagline. Gone in 6 seconds, intros that captivate recruiters. As we mentioned, you only have about 6 seconds to capture a recruiter's attention, so you better make it count. And then you'll see an example where I had put in a certain keyword or buzzword that increased my profile views by 33%. So a massive increase by just this one tweak. And then your content makes you king. So how leveraging your content will help you improve your results on LinkedIn in particular. And by the end of the course, you'll have a fully optimized LinkedIn profile, or at least a good start. Obviously, this is an iterative process. It's not a one and done. And so we'll help you make a lot of good progress on that, and hopefully you will achieve the results that some of those other students have seen. Every student who has been tracking their 90-day profile views has been able to dramatically increase those, mostly around double. So that is common, that is not an outlier, and we expect you to get the same type of results. You'll have your own professional resume, a $1,500 value. You'll get a 100% increase in those 90-day profile views in about 6 weeks. Again, that's every student so far who's been tracking those, following the recommendations in the course, has been able to achieve that. So that is not, again, an outlier. That is common results. And all of that resulting in more recruiter inquiries. And if you don't see results, I'm available to you. You can contact me and I will help you personally. And if you're not satisfied, there is a 30-day money-back guarantee. So very little risk to you. You can get the course, take a look at it, and if you aren't seeing the results that you expect, or it's not what you expected, then absolutely you can get your money back in that 30-day money-back guarantee. And what I wanted to do was to make this course available to students, obviously, who may not have a lot of money. So I've created the lowest entry point possible, which is the DIY student, for those people who believe that they can do it all on their own. The course includes a resume writing course, as well as that LinkedIn profile optimization course built in together. As you can see here, a lot of value, but I really wanted to make it accessible, especially for the beginning of the year. So you're not going to pay that $2,290. Making that available to you for an investment of only $297. And I actually have discounted even more, which I'm going to talk about at the end for this special New Year, New Job, New You promotion for 2018. And for those of you out there who want a little bit more help, I've created a second tier, which is the Group Learning Q&A Booster. Again, it includes that resume writing and LinkedIn profile optimization course, as well as monthly 1-hour group coaching calls. So it's the opportunity to ask questions and get those questions answered every month, and valued at $34.85. But again, you're not going to pay that. For this promotion, we've discounted that down to $397. And again, we have an additional promotion that we're going to be offering for you at the end of this in just a few minutes. And for those of you who want a more hands-on approach, perhaps you have an upcoming RIF or reduction in force and you need to get going relatively quickly and finding a new job, I've created the Tier 3 12-week job search accelerator one-on-one coaching package, which includes everything we've talked about, that resume writing course, as well as the LinkedIn profile optimization course, those monthly 1-hour group coaching calls, and additionally, a very high-touch 12 weekly 30-minute one-on-one coaching calls. So I work with you directly. We break down your resume, what your job search objectives are, determine what your target role is, and then build a strategy to go out and help you get that role. Again, it is going to be discounted here, $29.95. And we do have another discount we're going to talk about here in just a few minutes. Really, at the end of the day, in the big picture, it's a very small investment for a large compounded effect. So if you think about getting a new job and what that can mean to your paycheck, it could be a 10 to 15% raise or increase. So we'll talk about a base salary of $100,000, just a round number. Obviously here in the Bay Area, San Francisco, everything's more expensive, but salaries are a little bit higher. So we'll just use this for reference, for simplicity, as far as the math is concerned. So there you could get a 10% raise, which would be $10,000 to $15,000 for a 15% raise. And you will get that amount every year. And let's say you have a 3 to 5 year job turnover. So in 3 years at the low end, that $10,000 at 3 years is $30,000 increase in your income. And at the higher end for that $15,000, it's $75,000. So a modest investment can really compound itself over time. And as I mentioned, for this 2018 New Year, New Job, New You webinar, we do have a special promotion. We're going to be discounting each of the packages. So we're going to take $100 off of the DIY student and offer you at the basic entry point. Again, I wanted to make this as affordable as possible for those of you who just wanted to get the information and are comfortable doing it on your own. So we're going to offer that for just $197 investment in yourself. That second tier package, again, we're going to take off about $100. So you're going to be able to get the course as well as the monthly 1-hour group coaching calls for just an investment of $297. And again, that's really going to return your investment tenfold over time. And lastly, the 12-week job search accelerator one-on-one coaching, we're going to take $1,000 off of that, and so that's available for $19.95. For those people who are really interested in accelerating the job search, they know they need to get going. Perhaps there's an upcoming RIF, reduction in force, layoff, or they just are in a very uncomfortable position. So to recap, Tier 1, discounted, and then discounted again, just $197. Tier 2 with those monthly coaching calls, those group calls, discounted and discounted again down to $297, and then the one-on-one coaching Tier 3 discounted and then discounted again down to $19.95. Now this pricing is going to expire this Sunday at midnight, so December 31st. So if you are interested, I highly recommend you take advantage of that sooner than later. And here are the promo codes. I'll send you a follow-up link that'll have this information for you to make it easy for you. But again, these will expire at midnight this Sunday. And as I mentioned, for sticking around as a bonus, I wanted to provide some salary guides, which are very, very helpful for guiding your conversations around salary for these various industries. And it covers just about everything here. So hopefully you find something here that fits your needs. And again, I'll follow up in an email for you. So that brings us to the end of our New Year, New Job, New You webinar. Thank you so much for attending. I hope you got a lot of value out of this. I tried to over-deliver and have put a lot in this presentation. I'll be following up with some email with some links to those salary guides, as well as the discount coupon codes if you're interested in leveling up your job search and really taking some affirmative action on improving your life, because really what a new job is the opportunity to really level up your life, not just in your income, but also to more closely align with what your passions are. And that's really what we help you do, is to align your experience, your background, to attract those positions which are more aligned with your passions, your dreams, and your goals, so you can have a happier, more fulfilling work life every day. This has been Lance Wills. Thank you so much. Take care.